Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder about top stories. President Buhari returns to Abuja from Katsina State, where he spent the Eid-el-Kabir holidays, orders ruthless action against armed bandits terrorizing communities in Kaduna, Zamfara and parts of Katsina State. Theatre Commander of Operation Lafia Dole reads Riot Act to soldiers under his command, says disciplinary action awaits 30 soldiers who protested against posting at the Maiduguri airport. President of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, dismisses claim of fear of impeachment as reason for not reconvening the National Assembly. And Zimbabwe's main opposition leader, Nelson Chamisa, rejects court ruling affirming President Emerson Mnangagwa as winner of the July 30 presidential election. ChannelsTV.com has more information for you, and on youtube.com/channelsweb you can watch our videos. You can also watch us on your mobile device via your browser or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows devices from their respective stores. Besides giving you access to news updates on the go, the Channels TV and Channels 24 apps have an eyewitness feature that you can use to share pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu, and please follow the instructions. The maintenance tests on the nation's longest bridge, the Third Mainland Bridge, and the repair work is gradually turning attention now to the state of bridges across the country. Most of these structures experience heavy vehicular traffic on a daily basis, with little or no attention given to them by the nation's structural engineers. Our next report examines steps being taken to establish the durability of bridges in Nigeria and how to avoid disasters. Road construction in Nigeria has come a long way. From 1914, when there was less than 3,600 kilometers of paved roads, to a network currently in excess of 200,000 kilometers. Bridges and flyover bridges are a very important part of development in any society, as they are built to provide passage over a body of water, valleys, or surmount other physical obstacles. Bridges come in various types, shapes, ranges, lengths and model, but the popular types that exist within Nigeria and around the world are beam, truss, cantilever, arch, tied arch, suspension and cable. Modern bridges are built in concrete, steel, fiber, reinforced polymers, stainless steel or combinations of those materials. In Nigeria, there are currently over 30,000 bridges and flyovers which are spread across various states and cities of Lagos, Kano, Rivers, Delta, Bayelsa, Sokoto and major expressways. Some of the earliest bridges that were constructed in Nigeria are the Carter Bridge, which was built by the former governor of Lagos Colony, Sir Gilbert Thomas Carter, prior to the country's independence in 1960. It starts from Edo on the mainland and ends at Idumota area of Lagos Island. The Onitsha-Sabanaija Bridge, which was completed in 1965, linking the defunct eastern and western regions. Others are the Eko Bridge, Lekki-Ikoyi Bridge, Third Mainland Bridge, Lagos, Tatabu Bridge in Niger State, and many others. In recent times, however, there have been reports of bridges collapsing in parts of the country, from the Gidam Mai village along Mokwa Makera in Niger State to Tatabu Bridge in Yaranda village in Charanchi local government area of Katsina State, raising questions about the maintenance of these important infrastructure spread across the country. Perhaps no major disaster has been reported in the incidents of bridges collapsing so far. The government may have to step up efforts in monitoring and testing the integrity of the bridges all over the country to avoid any disaster. Well, for more perspective on this matter, joining me on the news at 10 is the Director of Highway, Bridges and Design, Federal Ministry of Power Works and Housing, Mr. Shugbeson Adetukumbo. Good to have you on the news at 10.
Good to have you. Thank you.
Well, the recent collapse of a bridge in Italy, which claimed many lives, calls for concern, especially with respect to the condition of our bridges here in Nigeria, a few of which have collapsed in parts of the country, as you heard in the earlier report. How concerned is the government about this, given that, you know, most of our bridges have been there since the 90s?
Thank you very much. Actually, bridges are designed to last 50 to 60 years by design lifespan. And if there's adequate maintenance and minimize abuse on the bridges, it lasts more than the design lifespan. Actually, the bridge that collapsed in Italy was due to access, because Genoa is a port city, and it had been overloaded and they neglected maintenance. Presently in Nigeria, we have a maintenance period of about 10 years to cover about 10 years on all our bridges. And integrity tests, since the new minister came on board, about today, Fashola SAN, we have a program of maintenance of all bridges all over the country. The first step in maintenance is visual inspection, followed by integrity, and followed up by repairs. We are on top of it, and we have program for all the bridges all over the country.
Well, you said we're on top of the situation.
Yep.
I mean, that's a phrase that a lot of Nigerians hear every day, because, you know, this is really important. Across the country, I mean, you said 10 years, but in actual fact, how much integrity test is really done? I mean, we have this going on with the third mainland bridge, for example, but how much is happening for other bridges around?
It's happening all over. Actually, it's because of the closure of Tobelan Bridge. That's why the news is all over. You know, and with the closure of Tobelan Bridge, because the two carriageways are composite structure, they are joined together. And you cannot do integrity test on one without closing the other because of vibration. Actually, a coach bridge, if you want to do integrity on a coach bridge, you don't have to shut the whole carriageway. You shut where you want to do test and open the other to traffic. Then let me say this, let me emphasize this. Most of the failures on our bridges is not actually bridge failure. Majority is embankment washout. And some of these embankment washout you can relate to global warming and higher discharge of water. You know, bridges are designed for a large flood of about 100 years to know the span from the highest water level to the surface. So most of the what we have that happens mostly now is embankment washout due to excessive discharge. And that you can relate it to the fact that, you know, when these bridges were designed or constructed years back, most of the buildings we have now are not there. You know, like when you have buildings, all the water, rainfall, goes to the roof and they end up into the rivers, which we are adequately taking care in design now. So there's no cause for alarm. We're on top. Integrity will continue. You know, we're supposed to do integrity every 5 to 10 years.
Tell us about the role of heavy burden, dead weight trucks, trailers on our bridges. And most of the time they're packed like round the clock, especially in Lagos. It puts a lot of pressure on this infrastructure. What is the federal government doing?
Thank you very much. This is an issue we need to tackle headlong. Actually, you know, most of these trucks that park on the bridges add to the dead load of the bridge, and it's not good for the bridges. We have been appealing to tanker drivers, truck drivers, and truck owners. We have a lot of stakeholders meeting to move them out. But I know, because you may recall, about a month ago, even the Vice President was in Lagos on this issue, followed by the Minister of Transport, because the major problem is most of the container drivers are going to return containers at the port. So we are trying to build holding bays where most of the containers can drop their containers and then we move them to the port at weekends.
But I also know that, you know, we're having stakeholders meeting, all of this is happening, but to avert a disaster, can the federal government take a decisive action, a decision?
We are really tackling it. You know, the issue is most of the truck drivers hold us to ransom. When you force them out, they want to go on strike. So there should be a balance. But we are working in conjunction with Lagos State government to create holding bays. And then another thing we need to do is to move most of these tank farms outside Lagos. But in the interim, the Minister of Transport is trying to, there's a rail line to move fuel from tank farms to the hinterland. Because the issue of using pipelines have failed. People vandalize. So, but we will solve the problem, and we are on top of it.
All right, we'd like to thank you for coming on the news at 10, Mr. Shugbeson Adetukumbo. He is the Director of Highway Bridges and Design, Federal Minister of Power Works and Housing.
Thank you very much for having me.
Kano State Government has given residents of the state the assurance that all ongoing projects and those started by his predecessors will be completed before the end of his tenure. The governor was speaking when he hosted the Emir of Kano, Mohammed Sanusi II, and other members of the Kano Emirate on the occasion of the Salah Durbar. Our correspondent Idris Jibrin reports that hundreds of horse riders accompanied the Emir to the state seat of power to observe the traditional Hawan Nasarawa Durbar.
It's the annual Durbar in Kano, a celebration of tradition and culture's best. The Emir Mohammed Sanusi II arrives at the Kano State Government House with his district heads and other traditional title holders on a customary visit to the state governor. Then the turn of the Emir's senior councillors, government officials and members of Kano business community. Hawan Nasarawa Durbar is an age-long tradition in Kano, where the Emir and his retinue of attendants pay homage to the governor in order to obtain first-hand information on what the government has been doing for the development of the state, a tradition maintained even before Nigeria's independence.
We have to see that we complete some vital projects which are important in the socio-economic development of the state. The Tiga hydroelectricity, the Sabangali flyover, the ultra-modern skill acquisition center.
After the meeting, the Emir of Kano, Mohammed Sanusi II, confirms that the Emirate Council is fully updated on the development plans of the state government.
I want to use this opportunity to inform the governor that the Emirate Council is behind him. However, we are calling on the residents to rise up to the challenges of obtaining all necessary security documents, and politicians should not continue to create violence among our people.
The Durbar over, the governor went ahead to pardon 150 inmates serving time in prisons and other detention facilities across the state as part of his annual prerogative of mercy. The Durbar is also an avenue to renew synergy between the Kano State Government and the State Emirate Council. New ideas and innovations are also discussed to foster the growth and development of the state. Idris Jibrin, Channels Television News.
When the news at 10 returns, the Naira expected to remain steady next week despite increasing pressure and declining investment inflow into the country. That's on Business News. Please join us again.